All right, good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal Friday. We're going to talk about a couple of things today. Don't mind the big, huge picture of my baby girl. Okay, so today we're talking about the power of zero and why, for a lot of people in certain years, over the course of the last 20 years, if you had zero as your best return in your portfolio, man, you were winning. You were winning far above everybody else. I want you to understand that even though we're not securities licensed, because I'm not securities licensed either. And the only I have the book. I have the book. I ordered everything. I spent like $800 getting the necessary material to get my securities license. But the more I talked to people who had their securities licensed, the more I kept deciding that I just didn't want to get it. I just didn't need it. And the reason why I didn't need it was because by becoming securities licensed, you are really limiting yourself. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me see. We're having some people having trouble getting into the webinar. Okay, sorry about that. So you need to understand that the lack of a securities license, a Series 6, Series 7, Series 66, it is not because intellectually we're not able to get that license. It's because we either need to have a lot of clients that want those types of products, right? To justify the additional expenses and the additional restrictions. Now, personally, I have had clients do exceptionally well with the products that we have that do not require a securities license. Plus, because I don't have a securities license, I can offer them these products. When you have that securities license, you're heavily restricted. You're heavily restricted on what products you can offer. Plus, you have to work through what's called a broker dealer. And with that broker dealer, that broker dealer is going to determine what products you can or you cannot offer. And so, like when you're an independent agent, the way we are right now, you have a lot of flexibility. You work with Freedom Financial. Let's see, I have a oh, such a cute picture. Thank you, Gwen. So by working with Freedom Financial, you're still an independent agent. So you always have the ability to push whatever products you want, wherever you want, do whatever it is that you feel is most beneficial for your insurance business. When you're securities license, that's not the case. You're just very heavily restricted. So I want you to understand that we have really strong financial products, and not having a securities license is not because we can't get it. It's just because we need to justify getting it. And if we can't justify getting it, and there's just no advantage to at least our middle market clients, then I just really don't see the purpose in getting it. Anyways, so that's enough of a rant for there. Let me share with you the power of zero. So I will share with you this chart right here. This is one of the charts that National Life Group provides for us. And I want you to take a look at the most recent 20 years of the S&P 500. The S&P 500 are the 500 biggest companies in the United States. The S&P 500 is pretty much a direct reflection of the economy in the United States. Why? Because if the 500 biggest companies in the United States are doing bad, then pretty much everyone else is doing bad as well. So you have to understand that when we take a look at the S&P 500, we're really taking a look at the economy as a whole, not just in the United States, but the 500 biggest companies in the United States are the 500 biggest companies everywhere in the world. So it just gives us a pretty accurate representation of the current economy as it sits. And so right here, we can see the most recent 20 years, right? So back in 2000, 2001, and 2002, negative 10%, negative 13%, negative 23%. Okay, so what does that mean? That means if you had a $100,000 portfolio, by the end of 2002, your $100,000 was probably somewhere in the vicinity of about 40,000, right? And then we had some positive years. 2004 was 8.99, 3%, 13.62, 3.53, and then all of a sudden, the whopping 2008. Okay, 2008 was a terrible, terrible year. A recession of 2008, which is only worsened by the Great Depression, which was back in, I don't know, 1950, 1940, I don't remember. But the recession of 2008 annihilated a lot of people's portfolios. So the reason I share this with you, and the reason we titled the webinar for today, The Power of Zero, is because if during these years, if you had an index product through one of our companies, you wouldn't be making any money, but you wouldn't be losing any money either. So what that does is it guarantees principal. What that also does is it allows your average throughout the course of time to be higher than your average within the market, because this is straight up market. This is if you went and purchased mutual funds or you purchased anything within the S&P 500. Okay, this is where you would be. You get all of the positives and you also get all of the negatives. So 2008 was a game-changing year for a lot of people. A lot of people were getting ready to retire in 2009, then 2008 happened, and all of a sudden they can't afford to retire, right? After 2008, things have been better, yes. But like everything else, and like I tell my clients right now, whatever goes up must eventually come back down. So one of the things that you need to keep in mind is that that's just the way the market works. It's going to go up and then it's going to go down. It's going to go up and then it's going to go down. Right now, the biggest scare is the coronavirus. Okay, so how is the coronavirus going to affect us? Is that going to cause the market to drop? Well, probably so. You know why? Because people are not going to travel as much. Everybody's scared of going places. So that slows down the cash flow or the movement of money. Anytime that you slow down the movement of money between a consumer and any particular entity, then the economy is going to go down, right? We're slowing down the movement of money. So what you need to understand is these epidemics are going to happen. So am I saying don't invest in the market? Of course not. If clients want to purchase mutual funds, if they're 23, 24, 25, we are nobody to stand in their way. We're just a resource to show them what additional products can complement what they already have. Are we telling people not to put money into their 401k? Absolutely not. We never advise them. We never tell them that. We tell them that if you have a matching contribution within your 401k, contribute up to your matching contribution because that's free money. And anything in excess on top of that, then you need to reallocate it somewhere else. Right? So we're not saying for clients to stop using variable products or products that play the market. You just need to be aware and you need to understand these basic principles, especially the older you get, because the older you get, it's very difficult to recover from these massive negative years like 2008, like 2002, like 2001, like 2000. It's just, you don't have enough time. Time is not on your side. And because time is not on your side, then it just makes it more difficult for you to get back on track. So definitely the older you get, the more conservative you need to be. The older you get, the more you need those guarantees, the more you need the power of zero that is telling you that regardless how bad things get, worst case scenario, you're not going to make any money, but you're not going to lose any money either. And that's very important. That's very vital. So once we take a look at the last 20 years, because we're looking for consistency, we're looking for products that are going to be able to perform well for us over the course of time, especially for younger clients, right? The last 20 years of the market is at about 4%. 4% is the last 20 years of the stock market. It's not very high, So when looking at the big picture, yeah, some years 26%, man, that's amazing. Other years 23%, 29%, 19%. But none of this matters. What matters is this: what have you averaged throughout the course of the last 10 years, throughout the course of the last 20 years? So now let's take a look at the 10-year look back. The 10-year look back is 11.2%. Okay, I want to show you. Let's see, do I have it here? Show you the 10-year look back of one of our other products. Okay. There's Fidelity and Guarantee. So these are reports that we can run on the different indexes that we have. Oh, this one will work. Power, no. Let's see, Power Accumulator 7. That's one of their strongest instruments. Accumulator Plus, Power Accumulator 7. Okay, so the 10-year look back of this particular index right here is 10.34%. Okay, that would be this index here. So 10-year look back is 10.34%. I want you to look at one thing here. Under fees, the fee for this product is zero. Zero fees. Average 10.34%. So now let's go back over here and take a look at the last 10 years of the S&P 500. 11.2%. Okay, well, I mean, it's pretty comparable. 11.2%, 10.34%. But one thing that you need to keep in mind is any account that plays the market has high fees. So even though you made 11.2% average over the course of the last 10 years, you're not going to keep the full 11.2% because you have to pay fees. Over here, you made 10.34%, but there are no fees. So once again, this is not telling you that investing in the market is bad. I mean, throughout the course of time, the market will be positive. I mean, it's just the way the economy works. But what I am telling you is that our financial products are very strong. The power of zero makes them very strong. The power of zero makes them very strong in comparison to other products when you are already in your retirement years or getting close to your retirement years. I have a question. Let me see. Oh my gosh, Gwen. So Gwen is saying that she had a client lose $146,000 in 2 days. Holy smokes. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of loss and a lot of money. Was that recent, Gwen? Did that happen recently because of the whole coronavirus outbreak? Yep. Okay. So Gwen says, yeah, they lost $146,000 in the last week is when they lost 146K. So these things do happen, guys, and I just like the fact that I can offer guarantees. So when I sit down with a client and I ask them, what's your goal for this money? They say, well, I just kind of want to let it sit there and, use it whenever I need it in the future. And so I say, okay, well, let me show you some projections. Let me show you some look backs and let me show you some guarantees. I'm going to give you 2 guarantees with your account. Guarantee number 1 is you're never going to lose any money. Guarantee number 2 is there are no fees. Now, we do need to leave your product. I'm sorry, we do need to leave your money in this product for a period of time. So we're going to do 7 years. We're going to do 10 years, however long the product is. So, but aside from that, we're just parking your money and we're just letting it grow and letting it do what it's going to do. And clients are freaking happy with the information that I give them. The thing that they're most happiest about is the guarantees, because everybody always freaks out about losing money. Guys, if you make $100,000, $200,000, even $300,000 a year, you're not in a situation where you can afford to lose $120,000 or $140,000. It's just, it's not an optimal choice for your savings, right? Because $300,000, even though it's a lot of money, I'm not saying it's pocket change, it's still middle America. You are not the super wealthy. You're not making $20 million. You're not in that tax bracket. Well, the no tax bracket, right? Because the wealthy don't pay taxes. So you're middle America, and middle America cannot afford to lose money. Now, there are financial advisors and individuals that are top of their game, like amazing, amazing. And those guys, if you don't have a net worth of about 20 to 30 million dollars, they're not even going to talk to you, right? So then we come back to a doctor that maybe makes $1 million a year, right? Um, he has financial advisors, sure, but it's the local financial advisors, and not saying that those gentlemen are not knowledgeable, because I'm sure they are, but it's very difficult for one individual, for one financial advisor to mimic the whole structure backed by $1 billion insurance company. I mean, these guys have the best of the best in a room figuring out how these indexes are going to be able to perform at this level and how they're going to be able to make money and we're going to be able to make money as a client, and that's just very difficult. A single financial advisor does not have the resources to be able to mimic something like this. So that's where you as agents have such power, because the guarantees that you can offer, plus the projections on returns, which I have seen happen time and time again, credited to my clients' accounts. Guys, it's just a no-brainer. It really just allows us to be able to grow our money in a worry-free environment. Okay, so the power of zero, guys, is very, very important. It's something that you need to push, because I guarantee you, and it's going to happen again over the course of the next 20 years, a 0% return will be the best return in your portfolio if you have multiple accounts, some of those being variable accounts. So David is saying, oh my gosh, David is saying that a friend of his lost 47,000. Yeah, that freaking sucks. So that's good for us, though, right? Wherever there's problem, there's opportunity. After 2008, as you can imagine, index products, index life insurance, index annuities became very, very popular. The reason they became very popular is because people had lost so much money, they didn't want to lose any more money again, right? And when something like this happens, then that's a perfect opportunity for you to say, hey, I need to make some adjustments. So clear example, I had a couple friends of mine, me and the lady, we went to school together. We got our MBA together, and she's the CEO of a rehabilitation clinic, right? And she called me I called her last night to ask her a question. Nothing having to do with finances. And she said, hey, you know what, Raul, we've been meaning to sit with you for a long time. I think it's time for us to sit down and see how we can transfer some of our money to be able to just kind of keep it secure. Why? Because this whole coronavirus thing it's scaring the entire world, and although I think that we're going to be fine and we're going to survive, just wash your hands, right? I mean, you always need to wash your hands. It's still something that affects your savings if you're playing the market. If you're 23 years old, who cares? You got another 35 years to make it up. If you're 63 years old, you should definitely care, right? Because unfortunately, you don't have another 23 years to make it up. You're using that money now. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more about next week is a sequence of returns. So how your portfolio makes interest versus how it loses money plays a significant role in how long your money is going to last. So a lot of these clients that have their money in variable accounts where it'll go up and it'll go down, if they lose 3 years in a row, and those 3 years in a row they took out money out of their accounts, then their accounts are only going to last them for about maybe 13 years, right? Because the account took such a heavy hit in those 3 years where it was losing money and you were taking out money, that it just doesn't have the margin to be able to recover, right? So I'll talk about some of that next week. Does anybody have any questions about the power of zero and about some of these returns that I've shared with you today? David, is there anything you want to add, man? I don't know if I can, let me see if I can unmute you. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a phenomenal Friday. I hope you find this information helpful, and I will see you guys again next Friday. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you.